Hey guys, welcome to the first mini episode of Nutrition Date with Kate. We're filming this episode today because Rachel's out of town, so we couldn't do an entire episode together. And we also wanted to give you guys an insider's look on what's going on in my head during the first two episodes of Nutrition Date with Kate. So if you've watched episodes 1 and 2, you know Rachel is my client. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist, and we talk more about just what to eat and what not to eat. We get really deep into a lot of the psychological factors that go into the eating decisions that we make. And if you've ever tried a diet before, if you've ever tried to change your habits, if you've ever just tried to get healthier, you know that it's not easy. It's not as easy as following a plan. But so many people have followed a variety of different plans. And if you listen to episode 1 with me and Rachel, she's definitely tried everything under the sun in terms of dieting and changing her nutrition. She tells you that point blank. And this is something I see all the time. People have tried keto, they've tried paleo, they've tried Weight Watchers, they bought some plan from somebody on Instagram. They've done everything and they can't understand why they can't stick to something, why they keep making the same mistakes over and over again. It's like they're little hamsters on the wheel. And they keep winding up back at square one, if not even 2 steps behind where they originally started. And I think a lot of this comes from the subconscious mind. So I'm not a psychologist, but I have these conversations with people all the time where they tell me all of these different rules that they've learned from different diets. I call these food rules. They learned from diet A that carbs are bad. And then in diet B, they learned fat's bad. And then in Diet C, they learn that they should be eating 6 times per day. And Diet D says, no, eat 3 meals per day at most, or fast for really long periods of time. And people start to get really confused on which pieces of information or which rules to follow. And I'll give you a great example from an actual client I had. She had followed so many diets. I can't even think of all the diets she had followed, but she was come up with ones that even I have never even heard before. I was like, where are you finding all of these diets to follow? But she was using all of these rules that she had collected over time as what I concluded to be excuses not to make what was the healthier, most aligned choice nutrition-wise with her specific goals. So let me play this out for you. I remember we were sitting there and we were talking about healthy snack options for her. And I told her, I'm like, well, have you ever tried a Kind protein bar? And she was like, I love Kind protein bars. And I was like, beautiful. So if you love them, they're a nutritious option. Instead of buying all these other junk food items that you keep at your house, how do you feel about keeping some of those handy so that you're not going long periods of time without eating and you're giving yourself some nutritious fuel? And so she came back for our follow-up and I was like, how'd it go? We were reviewing all the things and that came up. And she was like, I was looking at the Kind protein bar instructions or the food label. And I thought there was too much fat. I couldn't believe that it had chocolate in it. There was, there was 5 grams of sugar. There was 200 calories in this Kind protein bar. So I just said, why even bother? And I ended up buying leftover Halloween candy, 2 for 1 on sale because it was the same. And I was like, no, girl, I can see where you're coming from, but you're missing the point. Your brain has collected this dusty shelf full of diet rules that do not serve you, and you're focusing on them because that's your brain's way of telling you, don't go for the choice that's actually going to serve you, because what you actually want is this candy that you've put on a pedestal that's forbidden. It's the forbidden fruit. It's her brain taking all of these reasons and not to do the healthier choice to do with what she just wants in the moment, which is to eat candy. So I said, here's what you need to do. You need to brainstorm all of these food rules that no longer serve you. In fact, forget the no longer serving you. Just brainstorm all the food rules that you have collected over the years. Fat is bad. Carbs are bad. Sugar's bad. Don't eat this often. Make sure that you're eating every 2 to 3 hours. Just brainstorm them, dump them all on a piece of paper. Then go back and star the ones that actually serve you. And there might be a few. I know for me personally, there are a few guiding principles to eating that really help me out. For instance, I like to eat a good serving of protein at every meal or snack. It's not the only thing I eat, but that really helps me stay fuller for longer. So when I'm planning meals, that's a principle. Not a rule, but a principle. And that one actually helps me out. So when she did the activity, we saw that she had listed, and I have this handout for you guys that we'll link below in the YouTube video here. But we saw that she had filled the sheet with rules and only starred about 4 or 5 of them that actually helped her. And I was like, okay, this is really good information. So next time you're navigating your food choices, you need to pay attention to all of these rules that you're subconsciously trying to follow that don't do you any good, and focus on a food's value. So if we're going back to that Kait protein bar, she failed to notice that it was satiating both physically and mentally because it tasted good and she liked it, that it was fueling, it was made from whole food ingredients, that it had a good source of protein and fiber. I said, focus on these things and don't let your brain get in the way of making you deter from a good choice. And I see this all the time with people. They do it with fast food, for instance. They might say, okay, I'm going to meal plan everything on Sunday. And that's like a weird rule that they've always followed, that you have to meal plan on Sunday or you'll fail. And then they miss Sunday for whatever reason. And then they use that as an excuse to just Uber Eats and go through drive-thrus and just go back to their old comfortable habits. That's not a food rule that's going to serve them. We have to find things that actually are going to make you successful and just throw all the other things in the trash from past diets or programs you've ever followed. So if this is something that gets your wheels turning and you're like, oh yeah, like I might be guilty of that, I encourage you to do this exercise. And this is called the food rules document. I want you to brainstorm, just brain dump all of the food rules you've ever followed from any kind of diet, program, plan. And then once you completely empty your mind and you write all these things down, pen to paper, I want you to go back and star the food rules that actually serve you. And so I did this with my client with the Kait protein bar. And we found out that only 3 or 4 of her lengthy laundry list of food rules were actually helpful. And we said, okay, here we go. Now we need to start focusing on the positives of food, of something like a Kait protein bar that's filling, that's satiating, that does things for your body that aligns with your goals to make you want to eat them and not come up with reasons not to. And doing this, we helped her start to let go of a bunch of really unhelpful principles that were just holding her back. And then she could start enjoying food and not feeling so out of control over things like candy. I want you to walk through this exercise if you feel really confused about how to eat, if you're feeling overwhelmed with a bunch of different conflicting information from other sources. And if you need more help, if you do the exercise and you're not sure where to go from there, you can always reach out to one of our dietitians at Nutrition Awareness and we'll help you figure out some next steps. You can send us a direct message of your food rules sheet on Instagram at nutrition.awareness.